Welcome to Vibrational Revelations. I'm Elena.
I am Alejandro.
It's been a minute since we've done any YouTube videos for Vibrational Revelations, but here we are. We're happy to be here joining you. And welcome to those of you, of course, that have been with us for quite some time. And some of you might be new and wondering, what is it that you guys are revealing? So just to give a brief background, for those of you that are not familiar with our work, Alejandro and I have been doing Vibrational Revelations, actually measuring vibrational frequencies and levels of consciousness of absolutely everything that you can possibly imagine, because everything in the universe is vibration and frequency, and everything is expressed with its unique number signature. So we've done, gosh, thousands and thousands of vibrational frequency readings, analysis, which is posted. Most of the episodes are posted in the library for the last 4 years, which is our Vibrational Revelations membership library. And this is also where we go live at least 2 Saturdays a month, and we interact with our audience. We are able to answer live questions. Now, please make sure that you download Vibrational Frequencies of Awakening Scale. I will also put a link to the video of some of the discoveries that Alejandro made looking into the scale and how it all correlates to the divine numbers of 9 and 1000. So you definitely don't want to miss that episode. So I'll post the link below.
And the 369 as well.
And 369, that's right. Now, the other thing I wanted to share is our vibrational frequency analysis PDF has drastically evolved. For the last year, Alejandro has been working on putting an incredible body of work, a project where instead of just receiving, like in the past, perhaps you would receive a PDF just with numbers, you'll be able to receive actually a PDF that is so customized to you that it will go into the depth of describing what each of the frequency means specifically to you. And that file is about how many pages? 30?
And between 34 and 36 pages actually per report.
Yeah. Per report. So definitely you want to order something like that. And most people actually test their vibrational frequencies at least once a year just to gauge where they stand on that frequency journey, because we all go through our journey in life. And it does help. It's sort of like getting your blood work done to find out where is your blood glucose, what your cholesterol is, right? Your vitamin D level is. And this way, you're literally gauging into your persona journey to see how you perceive different aspects of your life. And we dive into 36 different aspects. Now, today's episode is inspired by the latest news, which has to do with Eurovision. So I don't know how many of you grew up watching Eurovision. I know I did. It's been around since 1956. This is, for those of you that are not familiar, this is where ABBA got discovered in 1970s. And actually 52 countries around the world participate in Eurovision. But there's something that I felt was drastically different this year, and it has been controversial on the news. So we decided we wanted to read the vibrational frequency of Eurovision, and then 3 of its contestants, the first one being the person that won the first place. And then we looked into an Irish singer that has been making some really controversial statements, and the Israeli singer as well, who got the 5th place. So let's begin. We're going to pull up the file to go through the numbers for Eurovision. So remember, this is a scale of 0 to 1000. And we are using scalar wave technology to measure the vibrational frequencies and levels of consciousness. And some numbers are in frequencies which represent emotions. Again, we're not measuring hertz, because in the past people would say, are you measuring hertz? Absolutely not. These are the numbers that describe the state of being, or the state of consciousness. In this case, we're looking at the body of this organization, Eurovision. And other things that we measure are related to percentages, because you can be in different vibrational frequencies and percentages would also vary. And percentages go from 0 to 100%. So let's dive into Eurovision for this year, 2024. The overall vibrational frequency is the frequency of 125. Again, anything below the frequency of 200 actually shows a big disconnect from this 1000 frequency, from the unity consciousness, you can say, right? So this 125 has to do with unfulfilled desire, right? This addictive pattern, like seeking and never fulfilling. So 125. Now we're looking into percentages. The transparency of this organization is 72%. Integrity, this is important to look at. Integrity overall of Eurovision is 67%. Integrity to others, which is also quite revealing, is 45%. Alignment with divine purpose is 61%. So quite out of alignment, right? And alignment with its mission, which oftentimes for organizations and actually for people that we measure, when we talk about alignment with its mission, we're talking about ego or persona-driven alignment, right? Because alignment with divine purpose has to do with the soul's mission, something that is unseen, that is guiding us behind the curtain. So alignment with its mission is 100%. So you could see that this is fulfilling an ego purpose, but not necessarily filling the divine purpose. So there you go. Eurovision frequency 125.
And it would be interesting to do a comparison as of what the numbers were when Eurovision was first established.
Yeah, we didn't do it
right?
for this episode.
Because often it changes. And, sometimes remains the same, depending on the initial intention, if it was kept or not, right?
But I have a feeling, I mean, based on what we're seeing on the news, right? And based, if you watch Eurovision, for me personally, I think it has drastically changed. And I think the numbers reflect it, even though we didn't measure what it was before. But maybe we'll do another episode looking at past Eurovisions, like when ABBA exploded and the scene of music and on a global scene. So yeah, I think that would be interesting to look at. But let's look at one of the contestants. And the contestant here, go ahead.
Nemo Metler. Actually, he's the one who won, right?
He won.
At the first place. Nemo Metler. He's from Switzerland. His overall frequency is 125, which matches the overall frequency of Eurovision 2024. Nemo Metler incarnated at the frequency of 310, which is the eagerness. Frequency at birth was born at the frequency of 55, so there's a drastic difference between incarnation and birth. And that drop is a reflection of the environment outside of the womb and whatever the mother was experiencing during pregnancy, right? All these emotions were imprinted onto the fetus or the baby and contributing to
what's interesting is
this
this
drop.
125 frequency is actually a reflection of the state of humanity right now as well. Because we're seeing, right, this polarization that is going on in every aspect of whether it's culture, society, religion. There's such a split that is happening. And I think it's interesting to see that it's reaching the Eurovision, right? And based on what we talk about, of course, each contestant is representing their country, their overall, you can say, collective consciousness of that country. So I know 2 years ago, we've done an episode revealing frequencies of different countries around the world. And we just did an episode on 4 major empires as well. So this is interesting to see how the numbers are reflecting that as well.
Yes. With that being said, because I mentioned that Nemo is from Switzerland, don't have the current numbers of the
Right.
human collective for Switzerland, by the way, right?
Yeah,
We're
this
not
was
saying,
2 years ago.
yes, we're
This
not
is
saying that it's exactly the same, but it could be. It is very possible.
collective consciousness, yes.
Now, when it comes to the aspect of health, it's 125. Now, we also measure connection to mind is 125. Connection to body, 55. So there's a disconnect with whatever emotions are triggered when it comes to the aspect of body, you know, the connection with the body, the inner dialogue when it comes to the aspect of the connection to body. Connection to soul is 125. Now, finances, 100, which is the emotional worry, fear. Creativity, 125. The unfulfilled desire. Now, desires is not something to be looked at as negative, but when it is unfulfilled and vibrates at the frequency of 125, that means there's a lot of resistance, in this case between 125 and 1000 being the highest number for the human experience.
And there is a resistance, especially in his case, because he didn't incarnate at 125. So
Exactly.
that is not his natural state of being, right?
Mm-hmm. Relationships, the aspect of relationships is 30. Relationship to self, 30, and relationship to others is also 30. That there's a lot of resistance there when it comes to the aspect of relationships. Personal growth, 100. Philanthropy, 100. And within philanthropy, we measure service to self and service to others or with others. And for Nemo, service to self is at 100, and service to others or with others is 30, similar to the aspect of relationships. You know, and that really is a reflection of the unprocessed emotions of the trauma that is still brewing, and more than likely it has been parked in a long-term parking because the numbers are remaining at the very low levels at this point, right? Now, intuition, 125. And with an intuition, he has clairaudience at 125, clairsentience, 55.
Which oftentimes you see it's actually a similar number to the connection to the body. Not in all the cases, but in most cases. And in this case, there's this disconnect.
Mm-hmm. Clairvoyance, 125. Claircognizance, 125. And again, what we're measuring is, in a way, perception. And we're pointing out the filters that are being activated when processing the information, in this case, through each and every one of the aspects that we're mentioning on the report. When it comes to intuition, doesn't mean how intuitive Nemo is or not. It's just what filters get activated when the intuitive insights are being channeled or coming through, right? Now, when it comes to the intelligence aspect, under IQ, Nemo has a 200, activates the filter of heroism, courage. EQ, emotional quotient, 175, which is the arrogance filter. The social quotient, and this aspect is for most artists and I would say Hollywood stars as well, those that achieve a high level of success within that industry, the industry of entertainment being the case here, they usually, and most of the time, I would say, have very high levels under the social quotient, the SQ. And in Nemo's case, is 700. Under adversity quotient, AQ is 30 for Nemo. Again, this is a reflection of the trauma that he's carrying, right? In the joy, how much he's enjoying the role that he's playing as Nemo Mettler in this reality is 58% out of 100%. In the ego, how loyal and faithful he is to his belief system is 100%. And we measure within the ego the inferior version of the ego and the superior version of the ego. And in his case, is 86% of that 100% represents the superior version of the ego. Now, as of how much time he spends in the present moment, or he is in the present moment, is 55%. Self-awareness, 81%. Clarity, 97%.
And those two numbers are related to the overall
level of
consciousness. Yes.
Or the overall frequency that he's experiencing, which determines the level of consciousness that he's operating from, right? Aligning with divine purpose, 87%. Aligning with personal purpose, 94%. In this case, he's more aligned with the persona self than the divine.
Interesting,
self.
right? Even though he won the Eurovision, right? He's still on this journey of discovering his own divine path.
And we have found that the percentage in the joy impacts
the alignment
with divine purpose, because one of the I would say three of the main things we're here for is to experience freedom, joy, and expansion, right? And the freedom from diffusing in a way or detaching from the belief system, and that process gives you a sense of freedom, and therefore the freer you feel, the more joy you're going to experience, and the more you're going to expand as well, right? As a consequence of that freedom and joy. Now, when it comes to integrity, overall integrity is 72%. And this is how loyal and faithful Nemo is to his own belief system, right? It's a 72%. When it comes to integrity to self, integrity to himself is 89% out of that 72%. Integrity to others or with others, when it comes to expressing and sharing what he believes to be true, is 58%. Exactly the same as in the joy, almost the same as in the now as well. Close numbers in the 50s. Now, when it comes to compassion, it's 92%. And compassion to others or with others is 85%. Empathy, 90%. And energy purity, 54%. And energy purity represents pretty much it's sort of like an indicator of how ready the person is to transcend or experience a higher level of consciousness, right? And for that, we'll take to release some of the resistance that he's currently experiencing.
Yes. Okay. The next one, who's creating a lot of controversy, goes by Bambie Ray, or Bambie Thug. Her name is Bambie Ray Robinson. She represents Ireland, and she received the 6th place. So her overall vibrational frequency, she's the one that was wearing these horns, right? Anyway, her frequency is 55. Vibrational frequency of 55 is this absolute, in this case, because we've measured over the last 6 years, 55 or 50. So 55, what we've realized, if somebody incarnates, in her case, her incarnation frequency was 55. Her frequency at birth was also 55. So her overall frequency represents this mastery level. In this case, there's an element of manipulation, which oftentimes, even if you're not born or or you didn't incarnate at 55, but you exhibit that frequency in your chart, it also relates to why do people manipulate, right? Because they're shielding themselves from revealing their deepest wounds. So in this case, her frequency is 55, incarnation 55, and birth 55.
Right.
She views health also through the lens of 55. I'm always fascinated when we see a lot of these 55 numbers. Connection to mind, 55. Connection to body is 30. And connection to soul is 55. And of course, we create through our mind, right? This reality is mental. This is one of the Hermetic principles. So it's also interesting that this is the projection, you can say, of the persona self reality from this 55 connection to mind, exhibiting the 55 frequency overall. Finances are 55. Creativity is 30. I just find it always so fascinating. You imagine creating through that lens. And in this case, I would say when someone comes in with so little resistance, right? So they don't necessarily correlate, their numbers don't necessarily correlate to somebody who is above frequencies of 200, and they are experiencing this drastic pull, that drastic contrast between the 200, let's say, and 1000. She came as this frequency. Relationships, she views through the lens of 25. And it's interesting, 25 has this element of destruction, destructive patterns, you can say. Relationship to self is 25, and relationship to others is 25. Personal growth is 55. Also find it fascinating. Now, oftentimes we see that what we call individuals that incarnate at these mastery levels, shadow frequencies, we call them the great awakeners. So everyone in this reality is serving a very important purpose, right? We're all kind of like these puzzle pieces that come together, representing a certain aspect of the persona to put a greater puzzle piece together, something we're all learning collectively. And majority of them have, if they incarnate as these great awakeners, they don't have a high percentage in personal growth. Philanthropy is 30, so quite low as well. Service to self, 30, so service to others also 30. And I also find it fascinating because she's fighting what she says for a specific cause. But again, you can see what this cause is aligning with as far as the vibrational frequency signature.
Yes, and it is without a doubt, it's easy to recognize that it's infused with low vibrational frequency emotions, right?
Yes.
Anger, resentment, frustration, fear.
Violence too. Violence.
Exactly.
Yeah. Intuition, 55. Under the aspect of intuition, there's 4 aspects that we measure. Clairaudience is 55, clairsentience is 30, clairvoyance is 55, and claircognizance is 55. Now, under the intelligence quotient, IQ is 175, which is when we've been looking into the human collective consciousness, and we've looked throughout ages, like thousands of years, right? We've tested it, which is posted in our Vibrational Revelations library in the community page. This is the vibrational signature for the IQ, for the collective consciousness. So when we see something higher, it's a little different. EQ in her case is 50. So definitely there's a big disconnect, disassociation. SQ, social quotient, is 400. As in previous case, the Nemo guy from Switzerland who won, he had this really high SQ of 700, which is quite common for people who are on stage, right? They have this magnetism. It's also related, your SQ is related to your level of magnetism. How comfortable do you feel? And do you pull large audiences by being on stage or by being present, wherever it is that you're speaking and sharing in different ways?
I would say the 700 is a more natural pool than the 400,
Yes.
right? And for 400, in this case, for Bambie Ray, who's a great awakener, right?
Yes.
Someone that is incarnated at 55, was born at 55, vibrates at 55, really all these low numbers are just part of her element. They feel natural to her, right? So it's somewhat a level of mastery. So if you have a master in the low frequencies phases, then stages with a 400 social quotient, which is a reasoning analysis or analytical mind, then it is a master at putting the information in order to reach the masses, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
Adversity quotient, AQ. So again, oftentimes what we've seen, actually, we just recently measured a 2 months old, which I find so interesting. Like, because we've measured children before, we've measured babies, just overall frequency. And just recently, somebody ordered a full chart on the baby. And I was like, huh, I wonder if they are coming in with these lower numbers, as an example, or already ideas. And what we find is AQ, and a lot of the numbers, but AQ especially, something that is part of our DNA, that's passed down through our DNA. And this has to do with during challenging times, how do we respond to that? What is your go-to without consciously becoming aware? And of course, every number in the chart can be changed just by bringing your awareness to your responses, right? How do you process things? So it was interesting to see that in the newborn baby, it already had an AQ, a way to respond to difficult circumstances, right? Challenges in life. So anyway, this is something to think about. It actually makes me think about Body of Work, which is a great book that we've read and we recommend it to a lot of people. And it's called It Didn't Start With Me, right? Or it didn't start with you.
With you.
It didn't start with you. So if you have not read it and you feel you want to have deeper insight and more research into how certain things are passed on genetically, and it is up to us, each individual, whether or not we want to clear that programming, genetic programming, you could say, ancestral programming, familial programming, and overcome it, or we can be slaves to the programming and how it's expressed in our life.
Yes, overall is we're talking about information. So information gets stored in the field and in water, because we're almost 80% water on a molecular level.
99% water.
99% water. So,
but our DNA actually is a memory stick. It is really holding files. So it is stored in our DNA. And it's passed on genetically through X and Y chromosomes that we receive. So
imagine you are coming or dropping into this reality, as compared to going to school for the first time. And, your parents give you, let's say, a backpack filled with books. They have information. You have already a mini etheric library filled with information. But then as you gain more awareness, you decide what works and what doesn't work, and what information you, by exercising your free will, what information you entertain and what information you drift away from.
Yes. All right. So in the joy for Bambie Thug, 6th place Ireland, 93%. So you can see people who are playing these master roles, they tend to enjoy their role, right? She's in the ego 100%, out of that 100% superior. In the now, 96%. So she's quite present. Self-awareness, 96%. And her clarity is 98%. Definitely a master. Her integrity overall is 94%. Integrity to herself, 100%. And integrity to others, 93%. So overall, she means what she says to others.
In this case, which is very common for great awakeners, right? To have high numbers in the now, self-awareness, clarity, and integrity. In most of the cases, yes, whatever they say, you better believe it. So
exactly,
if they say they're going to shoot you, you better run. Don't question it.
This is, we're talking about an artist. Yes. Alignment with divine purpose, 97%. Alignment with personal purpose, 93%. Compassion, 66%, so not that high. Compassion to others, 63%. I also find it interesting because this particular person is fighting for a specific cause that has to do with unjust things that are done to people, but quite low compassion. Empathy, 72%, because I think it's very intellectual, right? In this case. And energy purity, in her case, is 91%. So that means how much does she embody this frequency of 55? And she does at 91%. Okay, and the last one on the list for today.
Yes. It just means the will process information differently, right? There's no right or wrong way to do it. Now, the next person is Eden Golan, who actually got the 5th place.
And she's representing Israel.
Yes, and we were interested in doing it, especially me, because of all the chaos that was being orchestrated around her and against her.
Participation,
right?
Her
And since we
participation.
know that it's all about vibrational frequency, and we wanted to know what the link was, the reason why is it that this is happening. Of course, besides the current conflict that is taking place, where Israel is involved. So Eden Golan's overall frequency is 310. That's the eagerness, emotion. Frequency in utero, she incarnated at the frequency of 500 and was born at the frequency of 200.
So incarnation frequency was.
Yes. So there's a drop between incarnation and birth, of course, but it still was born at the frequency of 200, which is the heroism, Under the aspect of health, 310. And she has connection to mind, 310, connection to body, 310, and connection to soul, 250. Finances, 250.
And she's quite young. She's only 20 years old.
That's the objectivity filter. Creativity, 500. That's the flow filter. Relationships, 100. Relationships to self, 100. And relationships to others or with others, 100.
So I can only imagine, right? Having that as your filter, that worry and fear, being in a place where you're attacked. So that filter was definitely activated, and she was booed on stage coming out to hold it together. At 20 years old. Yeah.
Yes, and we have found as a pattern, actually, from measuring thousands of people, that the aspect of relationships is one of the last aspects to transcend or to release the resistance.
That and AQ,
right?
Yeah, adversity.
And like in her case, so far, relationships is one of them, right? At 100 throughout. Personal growth, 400. Philanthropy, 310. Service to self, 310. Service to others, 200. Intuition, 310. Clairaudience, 310. Clairsentience, 310. Clairvoyance, 400. And claircognizance, 250. For those that don't know what these aspects mean, we're posting a link that you can click and not only download the frequencies of awakening scale, but also their respective descriptions.
And also join the Vibrational Revelations community.
Yes, exactly. So you can really learn how we do things. Yes.
Yes.
Under the intelligence aspect, you have, Eden has IQ at 310, EQ, emotional quotient, 350, SQ, social quotient, 500, again, this is high, right? Adversity quotient, AQ 100. And of course, one more time, the IQ, EQ, SQ, and AQ are not measured in a conventional way, of course, right? Especially when it comes to the IQ. This is more as we're pinpointing the filters that get activated again when the information is being processed. Yes. In the joy, 78%. In the ego, 97%. And 95% of that represents 95% of the 97 in the ego represents the inferior version of the ego. In the now, 76%. Self-awareness, 71%. Clarity, 77%. Now, integrity, how loyal and faithful Eden is overall towards her belief system, right? Her truth doesn't have to be your truth or our truth. Is 96%. Integrity to self, 98%.
So that's her alignment with her integrity to her truth, right? Is 98%.
Integrity to others, 94%. So that's a drastic difference between Bambie's numbers as of how she processes the information, and how Eden processes the information, right? As of if you're in full integrity, one more than likely will tell you things that you don't want to hear. The other one, you know, also that you know where the person stands, but at least it's not going to be infused with negativity, right? Or threats. Alignment with divine purpose for Eden Golan is 100%. Alignment with personal purpose, 92%.
That's pretty high for a 20-year-old.
Yeah, really.
Most people we read don't even have alignment in their 90% with divine purpose. So it's incredible, right? When you actually find your purpose and you follow that passion.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
It really is fascinating.
Yeah.
Based on the numbers that we have looked at, yes, this one stands out because of her age, especially. Compassion, 100%. Compassion to others or with others, 100%. Empathy, 100%. Energy purity, 97%. This again is a sign of the level of readiness the one has when it comes to experiencing a higher level of consciousness. In her case, perhaps going from the 310 to the 350 and
yeah. Oh wow, thunder outside.
Yes. Dimensions. When it comes to dimensions, we measure how much time the person experiences the fifth dimension. And in her case, it's 28% of the time. And it's linked to frequencies, of course, right? And that's it.
That concludes today's episode. We hope you join us at the Vibrational Revelations membership platform. We'll post the links below. And this is where you can interact with us live, post your questions, and interact with like-minded people from around the world. We thank you so much for being a part of Vibrational Revelations on YouTube. And thank you for supporting the channel and liking and sharing it. We look forward to sharing more.
Looking forward to seeing you and for you to bathe in the ocean of the field of frequency so you can incorporate this knowledge into your personal growth process, into your journey, and accelerate the process of expansion and feel freer so you can enjoy your role a lot more. Yeah?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.